Looks good, Joey.
Thanks, buddy.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Next Drift. On this episode, we're going to take a look at early season fluke spots over in one of my favorite places to fish, Podchaiski Bay. I've been looking at the map all winter long on Navionics, the boating app now owned by Garmin, and I've picked out some spots that I think are going to be really good for early season fluke. So let's take a minute. We're going to leave Joey here, sand in the hull so we can get a fresh coat of bottom paint on there, and we're going to take a look at the map and explore some of the spots that I think you can check out to catch some early season fluke in 2025. So, as always, if you like this content, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and let's get into it. So let's take a look at the map. This right here is the entrance to what we would call the Podchaiski Bay. It is right outside of Gardner's Bay, headed into the North Fork of Long Island. Right over here is Bug Light, the very famous lighthouse. And the first spot that really kind of stood out to me this year, and I really don't know if it's going to produce or not, but I think it's a little bit overlooked. Maybe back in the day it was kind of a spot to hit, but I think that there's a really good chance that there's going to be some fluke that you will be able to catch around these areas right here. And here's why. This is the main channel that is leading up into Greenport or towards Greenport. And you have, a lot of great contours in here. There's also, some great flats, some great points. And let's take a look at them. So the very first spot that I'm looking at is right over here off the end of this point. You have a shallow bar that's up here in about 18 feet of water. And it kind of sticks out right here on the end to about 26. And then right next to it, you can see how tight these topo lines are. And that's a drop-off, a very steep drop-off that goes right into that main channel. And, these are the kind of spots that we talk about all the time when we're looking for fish and kind of, understanding their migration routes. These types of channels or ditches, deep water spots that abut, feeding areas are where the fluke are going to migrate through to get to where they're going. You can see here, there's a little high spot that comes back up. It shallows back up into about 33 feet of water. And then we start to dip down again. And we've got another deep channel that comes into here, leading, into the main part of the bay anyway. What a great looking spot. I mean, there's not a lot of, structure or anything really down here. It's mostly sand. But I like all of these features. You might find some old lobster pots that are out here, that Fluke will use. But these areas right in here is where we're going to focus. We're going to do some drifts right into this area here. And if you didn't notice, a lot of the areas we're looking at are between, see that 12 to about 40 feet of water. I found in the last few years that a lot of the fluke in early season have been using that shallower water, where historically, you hear stories about Greenport, the green lawns, where guys were out fishing in 75, 80 feet of water. The last couple of years, a lot of the fish have been caught in that shallower water. And this year, I'm even going to go shallower. I might try that, 8 to 10 foot range and see what we find. But these areas right in here look really good. You can see actually looks like there's some rock actually that's out here. I mean, look at this line of rock. See this? That's rock. Pretty cool. A lot of little contours, a lot of little structures right out in this little section right here. And like I said, there's deep water access. So that's a great spot. Another spot that I'm looking at is right over here, just inside the break wall. Right out in here, 23, 24 feet of water. And there's a point you can see right here. Another little secondary point that's right in here with deep water right next to it. And again, you've got this deeper water. And like I always tell you, it's not about deep water. It's about deeper water. Deeper water gives fish a place to migrate and pull off into when they want to, just chill. So this is a great spot here. You can see it's right here near this Shelter Island channel marker. And, that's another spot we're going to definitely be fishing. Some of the historic areas that have produced well, right up here as you travel up through the Peconics, you can see all these deep water spots here. Look at this this bar that's sitting out here, 40 feet, 23 feet, kind of goes out to 43, and then boom, drops right off into 80. That's another spot right in here that I'm definitely going to be fishing. We're going to focus on this spot. Little key features that stand out. Here's another hump over here. You can see as we kind of zoom in, you got this bar that sticks out right out here into deeper water. Look at this. You got 90 feet of water right here, and right up next to it, 33 feet, 56 feet, 46 feet. This is a great spot. Like I said, some of these spots, they're not going to produce. Not all the spots are going to produce, but these are some of the areas that wherever you're fishing, you're going to want to look for. Let's travel up a little bit further. We follow the channel line. We're looking at some features that are sitting out here. This looks like a great spot right in here. Think about how the current hits it on the incoming and outgoing tide. You've got, your historic places, like the green lawns. That's always been an area where people have fluke fished forever, and there used to be monsters that would come out of here in the early spring. It was talked about all over the place. Everybody knew Greenport, fluke, early season. Up here near Jessup's Point, this is a great porgy spot early in the season. You see a bunch of boats up here, always fishing. Let me tell you something. If there's porgy, if there's weak fish, if there's sea bass, there's fluke around. So do some exploring. Get up here, pull out your map, try to fish some of the spots that other people aren't fishing. You don't have to fish in the fleet. Look at this over here. This is pretty cool. This little high spot that's sitting out here. Let's see what this says. Porgy. So it's a porgy spot. So this is Jessup's Point right there. Again, probably an overlooked fluke spot just because everybody's running up here to catch all these porgy and weak fish. So these are the kinds of spots. This is the area where we're going to be focusing in early spring. Probably one of the first spots we go to. I'll show you another one of my favorites in an upcoming episode. If you are a regular to Next Drift, you already know where that is, but we'll take another look at it later on in a upcoming episode. But now that we know where we're fishing, let's take a look at some of the techniques and lures that we're going to be using early in the season to catch early season fluke. So the first rig and technique we're going to use this season, early in the season, is the standard old bucktail and teaser rig. Plenty of videos on how to tie this rig, but we're going to be using lighter bucktails, 1 ounce, 3/4 ounce, maybe a 2 ounce here and there, but a very small teaser up at the top. Single hook, one piece of gulp, and I'm going to show you a really cool bait that I like from gulp early in the season for fluke. But a 4, 5, sometimes a 6-inch gulp grub on the teaser, 4, 5, 6-inch gulp grub on the bucktail at the bottom, and you're just going to work it just like you would with a nice jigging motion, making sure you're bouncing the bottom, kicking up a little bit of dust. That's how to effectively fish the bucktail rig. Make sure you keep contact with the bottom. The next rig that I really like to use this time of year is the standard old high-low rig, or the chicken rig. It's got 2 dropper loops with gulp, one on the bottom, one on the top, and a dropper loop at the bottom with a weight. Usually this type of a rig, this time of year, because we're fishing in a little bit shallower water, I try to use the lightest weight I possibly can to still maintain contact with the bottom. And also you want to make sure that that rig stays nice and vertical. You don't want it sweeping way out. You want to keep it just below the boat. Nice soft jigging motion. Just kind of lift the weight, let it hit the bottom, lift the weight, let it hit the bottom. This time of year when the water temperature is cold, you don't need to overwork the bait. Sometimes even just a lift and drop, a nice soft lift and drop, you will catch the fish. You'll get a lot of bites. And also make sure you downsize your grubs or the gulp, whatever you're using. Make sure you use a smaller size. If you're used to using a 6, go down to a 4 or a 5. A lot of times this year the bait's much smaller, and you're going to get more bites if you do that. And I'm going to show you why here coming up. So this is one of my favorites, and I call it the Nextdrift rig. It's very, very simple. It's a Tsunami hollow teaser, a 2 or 3/0 Gamakatsu bait holder hook, and a 3 to 5 ounce cannonball sinker. And the way you rig this up is very simple. Just a dropper loop. You put the Tsunami hollow teaser on first, then you put on the bait holder hook, and then at the bottom you have a surgeon's loop, and you attach that to your cannonball sinker. And this rig is really nice because you can use it on spinning equipment, and you get a little bit more feel. Actually, you get a lot more feel with the spinning rod. But with this rig, because it's so tight and compact, you can really feel the bottom, and you can hold bottom in a little bit better in a faster current. The other trick to this is to keep the Tsunami teaser and the bait holder hook relatively close to the cannonball sinker. You only need about 6 to 7 inches away from the cannonball sinker. Sometimes we've even used it like 3 or 4 inches up from the cannonball sinker. But what is the trick to this is to use a small gulp swimming mullet. That swimming mullet, a 4-inch swimming mullet, 5-inch swimming mullet, is absolutely perfect this time of year because the bait are relatively small. Very small squid. This is a picture of a baby squid that we took. We caught actually over in front of Claudio's restaurant last year. And you can see it's very, very small. And we switched to the color called Dazzleberry, which is a swimming mullet, small 3-inch swimming mullet, and we caught the fire out of them on this exact rig. So you have a lot of options. You can use the bucktail rig, you can use the high-low rig, or you can try Captain JT's Nextdrift rig with spinning gear. All you need is 10-pound braid to a 20 to 30-pound fluorocarbon leader, and you will catch the fire out of a bunch of fluke early this season. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Nextdrift. I hope you found this information useful, and I hope you use it on your early season fluke trips this year. Remember, downsize your baits, get in a little bit shallower, and I promise you, you're going to have some very successful fluke fishing trips. Make sure you join us on the Nextdrift Patreon page. Link is down in the description below. I have lots of really good tips, GPS waypoints throughout the season, news, updates, videos that you will not find here on YouTube. I really appreciate you watching. We'll see you real soon. Take care, everybody.